Hello everybody and welcome back to our Let's Build a Zoo series. I'm Gary, and in today's episode we're diving into building our African Savannah area. So let's get started. So in today's episode we're starting to build some enclosures for some of the most majestic animals in the African Savannah. And of course, I mean lions. So there's a lion enclosure in today's episode. But I start by building this little sign, which we'll make more extravagant once we've got the whole area finished, which introduces our guests to the African Savannah. So I had to play about with the building tools, and I've added just a couple of decorations, some lighting, and then I go ahead and I stick a sign up on it. Now, I'm dyslexic, so there's a high possibility that I've probably spelled Savannah wrong. So if you want to correct me in the comments, please do, because spelling is not one of my strong points. And I went ahead and added a couple of lights. I clicked the wrong place on the mouse and my sign disappeared after I got it positioned perfectly, so I had to do it again. I wish there were some bigger signs. I'm guessing there's a way to make these bigger, but I'm not entirely sure. So if anyone knows any shortcuts or how to make these signs bigger, please let me know, so that I've not got this massive walkway with an arch overhead and a teeny tiny little sign. So yeah. And then I realised that I had no power to that second light, so I really need to make sure I keep on top of making sure there's power everywhere. So now I'm adding that main path I was talking about, the big fat path that will go around the entire zoo as sort of the main path around. And now I'm adding in this little offshoot which will go around the enclosure. So the first enclosure I built was the most exciting one. It's the lion enclosure. Now some of you who play Planet Zoo will probably notice that I have already made a huge mistake here with this barrier, and I'm just gonna leave it there. Some of you will know, some of you are in for a bit of a surprise like I am. So I didn't want to give everything away from the main path, so I've made sure that when it's a main path, it's a brick wall. If you want to see the animals, you're going to have to go the long way around and look in and enjoy it. So I've made the whole side around the smaller offshoot path glass. But on the main path, it's brick. You can't see it. So I give my lions a nice big place to go and rest and hide and get out of this horrible wet weather. So initially I covered the whole thing in sand. But yeah, and I gave them just a little water source, because being in the African Savannah, there's not always water. There's a watering hole, but there's not always water. And this nice big thing to climb on, perch, climbing frame, whatever its name is, they've got one of them so they can bask in the sun, like it's sunny now. And I go ahead and I add some enrichment equipment and some plants, a little heater inside the bedroomy bit, and just some things that they can play with. And yeah, that was, add a couple more decorations. So it's been, as I said in the last episode, it has been a while since I played Planet Zoo. So I was putting all this in, and then I got the animals, and then I realised, oh, yeah, if I go into the habitat bit on the animal, it will tell me what they want, what they like, what they don't like. So, yeah. So I've made this beautiful enclosure, made sure they've got somewhere for food and somewhere for water. And then I got the animals. And then we find out, no, most of this is wrong. Most of it is wrong. So, yeah. I had to go and get some animals, make sure that it's suitable, named it the lion enclosure, and then I went and got myself some lions. So I got a male and a female lion, because that seemed like the way to go. And it worked out really well for me because my lions actually had a cub. So they must have been really loving their little enclosure. So yeah, I did enjoy this. It's taking me back. So I've got my lions, and then I was trying to remember how do you actually add them to the enclosure. So got my education boards going up around the place, just to make sure that everyone knows that these are lions. If you look in this enclosure, this is a lion. Look at that lion. Isn't it beautiful? And then a nice conservation board. I don't know what that does. That wasn't in the game the last time I played it. I'm guessing it just tells people about how endangered lions are and how we can conserve them. Anyway, and I added some security cameras because I'm too cheap to pay for too many security guards. Saying that, I have unlimited money and unlimited conservation points, so yeah. And then I needed to make sure there was power. So I added a whole staff path that goes all the way to, I think this is going to be something that will get added in around the whole park, is sort of a staff path that goes around the whole perimeter. So I added some staff services in the Africa section, or the Savannah section. I made sure there was power. So there's a solar panel there. Realised it didn't reach where I wanted it to. I'm assuming my whole zoo has to be covered in this blue bubble. So yeah, this is me connecting up that main staff area with a staff path all the way around to here so that we can make sure the whole thing's covered. So there's my little habitat done, and now I'm going to add in my lions. So I add in my male lion first. Realised I didn't do it right. And had to do it again. There he is. Well, there she is, sorry. There's Nima. And I looked and realised, oh yeah. So I had to go and redo a fair bit of the environment. Make sure I had the correct plants and the correct everything in there to suit the lions. Added in some trees and some plants. And then I had to go and fix all the terrain. So Nima, she's up on that rock. And there's my male lion. I cannot remember his name. So Nima's having a nice little exploration, and my male lion, he's having a nice little wander about. And you're probably going to see the big problem with the barrier that I built coming up very soon. So there's Kalfani, I'm going to say. His name's Kalfani. There he is. He jumped. They can jump over the barrier. So, need to make the barrier taller. What a silly goose I am. So, yeah. So, I had to rebuild the whole thing. Well, I didn't. I adjusted the whole thing. 6 meters. If they can jump 6 meters, they deserve to be able to get out. So that was a very time-consuming process. And because I'm using all glass, what I'm going to do is probably just have every enclosure at 6 meters. Except, oh, look, he jumped out again. So oh, and she's going to go as well. There, they both got out this time. So what I'll probably do is every enclosure will just have a big 6 meter high barrier. Except monkeys. I think monkeys, if I remember rightly, they need an even taller one because they can swing and jump and everything. So there we go. That should be the whole enclosure in the green now. Perfect. Lions, they'll be happy in there. Well, clearly they were because they had a cub. So there's my nice little lion enclosure, and they all seem very happy. So yeah, there they are. Aren't they cute? I do love a lion. I just find it fascinating to watch them in their habitat. And this is me attempting to figure out how do you take screenshots again. So there's quite a bit of that. So next I moved on to giving the guests actually some stuff to do, or some money to spend. You know, gotta have that money. When you're at a zoo, £12 for a hot dog, £7 for a drink. Gotta get that money. So I just added a pizza stand, a drink stand, I think it's soda. That felt weird to say soda. Fizzy drink. I gave them a toilet and a nice little hat stand. They can buy a nice hat. You go to the Africa bit, you buy a hat. Perfect. Added in some lighting. So just like I did in the Planet Coaster series that I abandoned, I will fill all this in. Once everything's built, I'll make it look like an African savannah. There'll be lots more detailing going on. But yeah, you can see the guests are loving it. It's so busy. So, once we've done that, I move on to building another enclosure. So just double checking my lines, making sure they're happy. They're very happy. And yeah, so then only build 2 enclosures in this one. So the lion one's done. They end up having their cubs, so they're very happy. Start curving that main path around. There'll be more offshoots off of it. And this is a smaller enclosure, so it's going to be for smaller animals. And the animals that go into this one are some African crested porcupines. I think that's what they're called. So again, I've got that brick wall going around the main path, and then the glass is just on the offshoot path. So for these guys, I added in a nice little foraging tray, some hot water spray taps, some grass sheets, or barriers that they can run through, a load of enrichment toys, some sprinklers, because who doesn't love to run through a sprinkler, a slow feeder, because I know they're foraging animals, and then some burrows. And they do enjoy being in the burrows underground. I put in 2 because I'm going to hope that they do a lot of breeding, and I end up with loads of these little porcupines running about. Add in some heaters and some planting, and yeah, they seem to be, well, they're happy as well. They didn't have any babies yet, but time will tell. So I've got that nice little enclosure done. And yeah, I go and I find some porcupines, and I adopt 2, a male and a female, and I add them to their little enclosure, and they can start loving life, being in an enclosure. And this time I made sure that I put them in before I did the terrain. So I went in and I made all the terrain what we want it to be. So they had too much grass, so I get rid of the grass. But they didn't have enough sand, so I go in and add some sand. And making sure I get that balance in the green. And they all seem very happy. So they're good. That's awesome. Their enclosure's awesome. And yeah, make sure they're all added, and then I go and check out my cub, and there's my little lion cub. Oh, I want to call him Simba. When I go back in, I'm probably going to rename him Simba. If you have any ideas for naming these animals, put them in the comments, because I'm happy to name these animals whatever. So yeah, and then I made sure that they're getting grade-free food. Both of them. I want all my animals, they're only going to get the best. Money is no object. I've only got 2 enclosures and the guests are piling in. So this is me going around trying to get screenshots, but not remembering what the screenshot button is. So I know it's F12 now, so I will remember that. Fix that flying tree, and there we go. We are done. Add in some of these education boards, and yeah, some benches, some security cameras, and we're all good. And that is everything for today's episode. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.